Hello, Canucks fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Canucks Conversation, brought to you by the great folks over at Zephyr Epic. You can use promo code HOCKEYSEASON, capital H, capital S, all one word, Hockey Season. That will get you $5 off your order at zephyrepic.com. That is ZEPHYR Epic. Check them out on all social platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, whatever it is. They've got you covered for all of your trading card needs, so be sure to go check them out. Retail location in Surrey as well, if you don't want to go the online route. But if you do go the online route and use promo code Hockey Season, capital H, capital S, you get free shipping Canada-wide on any order over $50. That again, over at Zephyr Epic. My name is Dave Quadrelli. I'm joined as always by the man who built the place, Chris Faber. Our technical producer, as always, is Alex Allard. But we need to start right off the hop, Chris. Alex, I don't know if you can hear us. You open a pack. Okay, sorry. My apologies, Chris. Go ahead and open a pack. Wearing his baby blue, is that a Manoah or Vladdy jersey that's on your back? What do you have on the back of that jersey, Chris? Your Blue Jays jersey.
This is my Vladimir Guerrero Jr. jersey. We'll get to MLB opening day today in just a second, but yeah, the Manoah one is a dark blue. But I'm all set. Shout out to Lisa. I saw her in the chat already. Ready to go. Blue Jays, you got your Mariners stuff on. Good stuff. It's nice to be a fan again. That's what I'm excited about with let me rip this pack real quick. We'll get into baseball in a second. You can get started, but I'm sure. Happy to be a fan of a sport again, because we don't get to do that with the Canucks. We're not able to be fans anymore. We're in the media. We had to sign our life away. But it's fun to be a fan. I got the Lions around the corner. We got the Blue Jays starting today. Fun stuff. I'm jacked up. I know you are about MLB's regular season kicking off today as well.
Yeah, I got MLB TV. I was watching the Yankees this morning. It was a great game. Aaron Judge, first at bat of his season, hits a bomb, especially after a horrible call by the home plate umpire to put him down 0-1. We're not going to keep talking about baseball too much longer here, but I'm regretting not wearing my jersey. I don't know why I didn't think of that. I could have worn my Tatis jersey, could have worn my old Bautista jersey. That's a dark blue. What'd you pull in this pack? What'd you get, Chris?
Nothing really. Got a young gun of Hayden Hodgson. Who is a rookie with the Philadelphia Flyers. I've never heard of him. So I'm sure this card's not going to be the thing that's going to put me into retirement, unfortunately. But that's okay.
Do you know what I really like is what's the brand? It's Topps Allen and Ginter series of the baseball cards. I love those. Those are so cool. They look like old portraits. Like they look like pencil drawn portraits. It's really, really cool. I had the Bryce Harper rookie card of that. It's in a frame. I'm looking for it. I don't think I see it right now, which is a little concerning, but I'll find it eventually. It's a Bryce Harper rookie card. Speaking of which, that's my big pickup in all my fantasy baseball leagues I'm in too. Bryce Harper. Got him in my keeper league for which is an auction as well. And then I got him in my other head-to-head league as well. I'm very, very pleased, especially with him, the announcement today, going to the 10-day IL, avoiding 60-day IL with the Tommy John surgery. And I know we've already lost some listeners, so let's wrap up the baseball talk here. I'm just fired up.
No, the numbers are dropping off damn quick right now. But yeah, I had my fantasy baseball draft yesterday as well. Picked up basically the whole Blue Jays starting staff. So rocking with the Blue Jays here all the way. But let's get into it. I don't know if we have, we got 20 seconds of dog. What do you got? 20 seconds. Some positives on the dog front, I assume.
He's vaccinated, so he's able to walk now. We go on walks, and we're having a lot of fun. That's it. But I actually want to shift the conversation from baseball to hockey in a perfect way, because I'm not sure if you saw this morning, so my apologies, Chris, if I put you on the spot, because obviously we don't plan anything on this show. But this morning, I was listening to Halford and Brough, and there was a discussion on the show. There was some report from somewhere, I don't know where, about the NHL exploring doing a day where all of the teams play on the same day. And the reason I bring this up is because today's the first day since like the 60s that the MLB has had all of their teams play on opening day. So I ask you the question, Chris, because personally, I don't like the idea of that. And I don't know from a growth of the game perspective for hockey, of course, if it's a good idea for them to do every team like, unless you're spacing it out and you're making it like an all day thing. Cause I think that'd be cool. Like if they had a game that started at like 8 o'clock Pacific or 9 o'clock, 9 a.m., right? If you had a game a day where it was just literally all hockey all day long, and I don't mean just for us on the West Coast, I mean even fans on the East Coast, maybe they can wake up at like 10 or 11. I miss those days, and they start watching their games, right? I like the idea of that. I think that's the way that hockey should do it if they choose to do it. I'd love to do that if they did like today's the NHL's day or whatever, and they do just all day long. They have every single team play. I think the only way to make it work is to have those start times where there's a primetime game at each hour kind of thing, where a casual fan, or not a casual fan, excuse me, but just a fan of hockey could watch basically every game. Like it's the NFL. The NFL does it so well. For me, like that's how I watch baseball is I'll watch whatever game is on, and hopefully there's games on all day long. I think if the NHL is going to explore that, they have to do it that way. Like you have to do it so that it's all day long. There's at least one game that everybody's going to want to watch.
Yeah, I think it's a fine idea. I wouldn't be super excited about like hockey day. Wouldn't like really get me going that much, I think. I personally, I just like the opening round of the playoffs is good enough for me. That's, the games are spaced out so you can kind of get an opportunity to not necessarily watch all of them, but at least watch a good amount of each game on the opening round of the playoffs. Like that's prime time for me. I don't think you need to go to the extreme, but listen, I wouldn't say it's the worst idea. It just doesn't really excite me, to be 100% honest. Listen, I love hockey. I love watching hockey, but I'm not going to sit there and watch 12 hours of it in the NHL. That's for sure. So yeah, it's an interesting idea. It's a cool topic. I remember I heard this on Scott Rintoul's West Coast Express podcast series. I know there was a clip from Gary Bettman when they came back from the lockout. They returned and every single NHL team was in action that day from the return from the lockout. So it's a thing that's happened. We've seen where I believe we've had years this year where every team is in action for hockey, right? Like I think I would be surprised if we haven't had one day this year where all 32 teams are in action. I think we've had that.
I don't think we have. All 32? Really? I don't think we have.
I would bet that we have at some point this season had all 32 teams in action. Yeah, I would bet that we have.
Someone in the chat answer that.
Even like the first Saturday of the season or just like a random Saturday, I bet that we've had all 32 teams in action. I bet that it's happened. I'd be, I'm not like 100% sure, but I would bet on it. I bet that we've had that this year.
Maybe the conversation that I misinterpreted was just that they would do it more often type thing. Anyways, doesn't matter. Let's just move on. But it was just something I thought of. I want to see a day where they go all day long with the games. I think that'd be really cool. Anyways, okay, the note. Do you have anything else before that? Because I know this is our main topic that we're discussing today is the note from Jim Rutherford to season ticket holders and in turn Canucks fans.
Well, Alex has been busted with the whole bird situation last night. Do we have this, Alex? Do you have your live stream going? What's going on? Look at this.
The eagle is in the nest.
Oh my goodness. For the start of the show, I've been watching the live stream now ever since yesterday's show. I've been hooked on this thing, and Alex is it turned right around and looked at us. What is that thing? It's spinning around like me in the chair here. Its neck. Holy cow. Anyways, live stream here.
This is our camera 4.
Camera 4 now on the show. So we now have a live stream of the Eagle. This is going to be this is good for the YouTube. These are our friends here at friendsofbigbearvalley.org. We got a live stream of an eagle right now up on the YouTube channel. If you are not coming by the YouTube show at 1 o'clock Monday to Friday, you're missing out. Let me get you spit some knowledge about these folks here. The Friends of Big Bear Valley. Friendsofbigbearvalley.org. They are a nonprofit organization that's set out to protect and preserve the amazing natural surroundings through environmental education and advocacy about its values and community benefit. FOBBV, as I like to call them, is observing wildlife in its natural habitat. You can watch their nest 24/7, and we got an eagle in the nest here. They teach you about these local eagles here. Quads, did you know that Big Bear Valley is the 7th most biologically diverse place in the United States? And we got a live cam on the eagles right here. Number 7 in the United States.
Do we have a sponsorship with these people that I don't know about, or are you just giving free ads?
Just good folks. We look at this eagle. See, I didn't know the neck on the neck on these things. They can turn around everywhere. 360 view.
Dude, we're 12 minutes in and we've talked baseball and we've talked about a live cam of a bald eagle that the podcast listeners can't actually see. I'm begging you to move on.
Oh, but here's the problem. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. This thing's it's cool now. This is the first time I've seen an eagle in there, Alex. Eh? When me and Alex were watching this before,
Yeah.
the eagle has landed now. It's gorgeous. All right. You want to know that I got more stats to get to here. So
No,
yeah,
I don't want to know
it's
anything else.
seventh most biologically diverse place in the United States. Number 1, Quads. Great Smoky Mountains National Park in North Carolina and Tennessee. There you go. A little bit of knowledge for you today. You take that, you can go tell all your friends about it. Tell them about the most biologically diverse place in the United States. Great Smoky Mountains National Park. You ever been to one of the big national parks in the States? Have you?
No, never.
No? I've been to, oh, yeah, he's getting ready to launch. Are you kidding me? I know the podcast listeners isn't good for them, but I tell you, if we get a live cam with an eagle launching from its nest, we shoo him off. Shoo,
Okay.
eagle. Anyways, he ain't going anywhere.
Okay.
No, leave him alone.
Okay.
Sorry, Alex. Well, come on. Alex is protective of these guys. He likes these birds. But I've been to Yellowstone down in Montana. That was a beautiful place. They got Old Faithful there. The geyser fires off every hour or so. Old Faithful. She shoots up there pretty good. All right, let's get into it.
Okay.
You want to talk about the note? This is basically Jersey Shore season 2 all over again. They got a note written here from Jim Rutherford, and you want to dive into it, Quads. Go ahead. Do your thing.
Okay, so let's pull it up. Yeah, this graphic design, by the way, just oh my gosh, I was yeah. Anyways, we're not going to get into it. Hardworking folks over there at Canucks Sports and Entertainment content team. We're not going to start ragging on people. Let's go. Okay, so this was the note from Jim Rutherford, and I'm sure the podcast listeners have seen it already. It's available on CanucksArmy.com. I'm not going to read the entire note, Chris, but I do want to zero in on some parts. So we'll break it down in parts. Obviously, it comes from Jim Rutherford, not Francesco Aquilini. That's the first thing that you notice is usually this letter does come from chairman and owner Francesco Aquilini, this year coming from president of hockey operations, Jim Rutherford. So at the start, obviously, he says, on behalf of Canucks Sports and Entertainment's ownership, the hockey ops team, and all that, talks about continued support for fans, talked about the passion of the Canucks fan base and how he doesn't take it for granted, that type of thing. And then the big part, this is the meat and potatoes of the letter, Chris, talks about having expectations for this season that simply were not met. This team needs to get better, and we will get better. Then he hits enter. He went to the Thomas Drance School of letter writing. He hit enter and made that just a line. So there's a lot of intensity with that line. I probably should just read the note. It probably would have been easier to follow along than what I'm doing right now. But anyways, he talks about how the Canucks, this is what I really want to zero in on. The Canucks are currently the 5th youngest team in the league, and we believe in our core of elite players. Elias Pettersson, Quinn Hughes, JT Miller, and Thatcher Demko are exceptional players who continue to elevate their game. We are equally excited about the emerging new players on our roster, which includes Andrei Kuzmenko, Ilya Mikheyev, Ethan Bear, and the recently acquired Philip Roenick. This is a terrific base to build upon. There is still much work to do to upgrade the areas of our team. This includes being active in college and European free agent markets, along with managing our cap space by using all options available to us. Cough, cough, buyout. That's what I take from that. And that's like, I'll get your take on it, Chris, but I know a lot of people were looking at it and saying, oh, well, he didn't mention Brock Besser. You can't mention Brock Besser right now as part of your core. It doesn't mean he's getting traded. Same thing with Connor Garland. I saw people saying, well, you didn't mention Connor Garland. Is that really your core? Is that your exciting base to build on? Like, those are your supporting pieces. When the Tampa Bay Lightning or whoever send out letters to their season ticket holders, they're not like, look at Yanni Gourde. Like, they're not talking about, I know he doesn't play there anymore, but I mean, they're not talking about middle six wingers, and they're not talking about those players. They're talking about their top end guys. And for the Canucks, that's obviously Pettersson, Hughes, Miller, and Demko. That's what it is for the Canucks. That's what it comes down to. Those are your top end guys. Obviously, Kuzmenko's, emerging in that conversation, but he was still included in the acquisition thing. So I'm not reading into it too much that Besser and Garland weren't mentioned. I think we would be making fun of them a little too much if they did mention just everybody who's played in the top 6 this season, because if you do Garland and Besser, that's basically what you're doing. You're very close to mentioning Phil DiGiuseppe in the same breath as talking about your core. That's right. And hey, we'd have no problem with that. But yeah, I took that away from the letter, and I'm not one of these people that's reading into it too much and saying, well, hey, no Besser, no Garland. I'm not personally doing that personally.
Yeah, it depends. You can kind of take it two ways. Whatever name is said and whatever names aren't said are going to elicit a lot of response, obviously, from the fan base. And I think the noticeable ones were, no mention of Brock Besser, no mention of Connor Garland, and the mention of Ethan Bear. Right, the three big takeaways from the names I think is here is like Ethan Bear doesn't even have a contract for next year. Apparently they want to get that done here pretty quick, but at the same time, like the agent's probably looking at this and thinking, player of the future, Ethan Bear, my guy. You got to get him a contract here. So it'll be interesting to see what that contract ends up looking like for Ethan Bear. But I get it. I get why the names, like I'm not making a huge deal out of it either, saying that Besser's name here, wasn't here. Garland's name wasn't there. Yeah, you're right. Like you're not going to list off, you're not going to, outline your roster for next season in this article. I was a little surprised to see maybe like some guy like Dakota Joshua doesn't get a little shout out like they've liked him and things like that. But the names aren't going to make me go into frolic about here and worry about which player is going to be here for next year. It's just it was a little interesting to see it from Jim Rutherford, but at the same time, in my eyes, like this is the president's job, right? Like I would, as much as we could have gained content from an Aquilini letter, we should be getting this from the president. This to me should come from the president. So I don't think that's a big deal either. This is just like, to me, this is not really much of a story. This is just the note from the president about the team. Yeah, the team's been bad. Yeah, they got to be better next year.
Commander Vander with a really good point, saying it's also just a letter for shareholders and to get people to re-up season tickets. Wouldn't look into which players are or aren't mentioned very much. Interesting though, Chris. Talked about the team doing well, mentioned Philip Roenick. No mention of Leo Carlsson. Do you find that surprising based on our past conversation?
I bet your ass there's going to be another letter coming out here after the draft then if they end up after the lottery. Are you kidding me? Come on. It will be a picture of Jim Rutherford with his arms crossed, but he's going to be holding on to Leo Carlsson between his arms. He's going to be giving him a big bear hug. That's going to be the letter going out to the season ticket holders. Get your Carlsson jerseys now.
We need a Photoshop of that. But to close out this conversation, Chris, I think what it comes down to, it's really simple in my mind, is if there was going to be any mention of Brock Besser, and I don't want to read into this too much, I just think that what Rutherford would say is probably what the rest of us are saying, and we're really excited about how Brock Besser's looked under Rick Tocchet. Like, Brock Besser looks like a more complete player under Rick Tocchet, and we've talked about it a lot, and I think that's where the team is probably at with him, is they're delightfully surprised that Besser is starting to turn it around, albeit a little later. But again, they're going to go into the offseason, and it's going to be the same mentality that we kind of saw them have at the deadline, reportedly, where they weren't just going to give away Besser for nothing. They weren't going to give away Miller for nothing. They weren't going to give away Garland for nothing. They're going to keep holding on to these pieces. We'll see if it works out for them, because obviously there's a lot of wingers on this team. But that's kind of what I took from it, is just there's obviously not going to be a mention of Besser, because all you can really say right now is, yeah, we're really impressed with how he's played under Tocchet. Now let's see him do it over a full season. We got him here for 2 more years on his contract, of course.
Yeah, no, I think that's the thing. I think we can see Brock Besser playing so well. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the offseason, right? Like clearly there was a lot of talk about the agent being able to help with the trade. That kind of, to me, normally when an agent starts getting involved in that process, like a deal does typically get done pretty quickly. I was almost not necessarily surprised, but yeah, I'd say a little bit surprised that a deal didn't actually end up getting done after it was reported that the agent gets involved, because we've seen that. Like, if you remember Ryan Reeves, the agent got involved and 24 hours later he was traded. So I kind of just think that showcases how difficult it really is to move money in the NHL, especially during the season. But with an off season, with teams looking to reset, with a pretty weak free agency class as well, probably want to look at Brock Besser for a lot of teams that want to make a serious upgrade to a top 6 wing spot on their organization. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Besser in the offseason. Yeah, I guess him not being included in the letter has spurred up conversation once again. But I don't know. I feel like it's going to be like 2033 and we're going to be going in and Brock Besser is going to be, 37 years old. And it's like, yeah, he could be a lifelong Canuck, but maybe he's not. Like, maybe this is the year that he's gone. Maybe they end up moving him then. So we'll see what happens, but it's just going to be, it's another summer, man. Another summer coming up here for Brock Besser. So we'll have to see what happens with him. Anything else you want from this note closing out here? You want to get to our new thing we're going to run on the show here to kind of close out the season. We don't know how many, we're going to run through the regular season doing this show, but what I want to do is kind of spend a little bit of time on each show, whether it be, 2 minutes, sometimes it'll be longer. I think some players deserve a longer discussion. But let's get the video up here. Let's get this graphic. Let's get a spotlight on Dries. Sheldon Dries. Look at this graphic, I tell you. You're on the YouTube. Are you kidding me? Look at that. Beautiful. I wanted to just spotlight on a player, and I want to do some of this throughout the season as we go on here. Just kind of chatting about the player, the season, maybe the expectations that we had going into the year, what they ended up looking like throughout the season. And we got Sheldon Dries as our first guy to spotlight because I feel like there's some interesting things we can dive into here. So Sheldon Dries has played in 55 of the 74 games the Canucks have played in this year. Dries has 11 goals, 5 assists for a total of 16 points, 86 shots on net. He's been a 50.4% face-off percentage winner this season. His expected goals control, 46.8%, and he's averaging 11 minutes and 30 seconds of ice time. We're seeing him kill some penalties lately under Rick Tocchet. We've seen him at times be on the second power play unit, not necessarily a guy who's always going to be there. Where are you at with Sheldon Dries in the season that he's had? Because last year, AHL ripped it up, was one of the top scorers in the AHL, of course. I guess from that season, earned himself an opportunity to play at the NHL level. And this season, I talked about it off the top, 55 games of the 74, Sheldon Dries has been in the lineup for the Vancouver Canucks. So he's been a pretty big piece of the Canucks team this season. Like, not a massive piece on winning every single night, but if you're playing in 55 of 74 games, you're in the lineup most nights. And that's what Sheldon Dries has done this season. Where are you at with Sheldon Dries this year? How do you rank his year? And what are our expectations going forward here?
Well, people seem to really dislike him. Like, the YouTube live chat does not like Sheldon Dries.
Well, the YouTube chat, everybody replies on Twitter. Everyone was very move on from him. Future considerations. I'm like thinking, wow, I didn't know that there was this much, not necessarily hate, but I didn't know this feeling towards Dries was so negative from a lot of people.
Well, yeah, no, and that's kind of my takeaway is it's been a successful year for Sheldon Dries. I don't want to pick apart a guy's game, but I think the reason that a lot of people don't like Sheldon Dries doesn't have as much to do with Sheldon Dries, the player, as it does with he's playing with Vasily Podkolzin and Vitaly Kravtsov, and he's not a great puck distributor. Like, he's not getting the best out of those guys, but what are you asking Sheldon Dries to do here, right? Like, let's figure this out here, because people are, I don't know what people's expectations are. I think they would just like to see, I think all it comes down to, Chris, is it's been a successful season for Dries, but I think people want to see Kravtsov and Podkolzin get in a better position to succeed than playing with Sheldon Dries. And I think that's all it comes down to be honest with you. Like, I think that's the reason. Like, I don't know if I'm hitting the nail on the head. Commander Vander in the chat makes me think that that's the case, that I've got it right here. But that's what it seems like, is just people don't dislike Sheldon Dries because of how he plays. They just dislike him because he's the center for Kravtsov and Podkolzin, and you're not really seeing those guys light the lamp offensively.
No, for sure. And I think that's the problem, is it's where he's being asked to play in this lineup as the 3C, who, when you're the Vancouver Canucks and you have that much depth at the wing, you want that third line to be something special, really, for like the players that you're going to have on that line starting next season. Let's throw some names out there. Vasily Podkolzin could be one. Niels Höglander could be one. Heck, Connor Garland, Brock Besser, one of those two guys can end up on your line. Even Ilya Mikheyev, depending on what they do with some of the lines. Like, these are some wingers that should have success in a third line role, and you're going to need a good center to play in that spot. Like, I think Dries has showed this season that he could be a serious call-up option for a good team moving forward. He could be a guy who comes in and plays on your fourth line or your third line in a pinch and can center a line and be, sufficient at the NHL level. He can do that job fine. But it's not at the level of being like, hey, he's a good 3C. Like, he's an NHL player when you need to. Like, when you get him in the lineup, you can get him up there. He can play some games for this team, but you don't want to start your season coming in and thinking this is our 3C. I think that's where I'm at with Sheldon Dries.
Absolutely. And I want to be clear with what I was saying earlier. There's no disagreement there, right? And Canucks Need Right-Handed D jumped in the YouTube live chat and said, nope, we want a real 3C in response to what I was explaining as why I think fans might not like Sheldon Dries. And to be clear, I think you look at this season, and I think this is what the team's doing. We've heard the rumored interest in Barbashev, all this sort of stuff about third-line centers, and I think everybody agrees here. Everybody's in agreement that this team needs a better third-line center going into next year. I just don't think that you look at Sheldon Dries' season and say, get rid of him. I say you
No.
look at it and say, wow, you know what? He might be able to battle for the fourth line center job out of camp. If not, he's going to go down to Abbotsford and he's going to be your first call up. Like, he's center depth. You need good depth, and he's good depth. Like, I think he's fine depth, and I think that's what it comes down to. But you don't get rid of guys just because you don't like the positions that they're in due to your poor roster construction. That's not how this works. So
let me tell you about this season too. Like, think about this, if you can fast forward one full year from today and you're looking at this Canucks lineup and you're like, let's talk about it today, present day. Quads, if I were to I don't even know if you would know the answer. If the Canucks have to call up a center right now, say because of emergency basis, let's say one of their centers goes down, who are they calling up right now? Which center from Abbotsford? They have two options.
I'd like John Stevens. Stevens to get a look.
They have two options to play center. One's John Stevens. The other one would be Atu Ratu. Clearly, Ratu's not ready for NHL games. Will he be in a year from now? Maybe. But it's nice to have a little bit of a safety blanket there with Sheldon Dries as a center call-up option. I think a lot of people would, like, if we change the conversation a little bit and we just say, if your expectation for Sheldon Dries next season is to be a call-up option to come play center for you, I'm curious what people say in the chat. Like, would that be great? Because listen, he's making basically league minimum for next season. He's got one more year left on his contract, by the way, for next season. Making a lot of money in the AHL, so he's not going to be claimed on waivers. If that's the expectation for next season, for him to come in and be a depth option, to be a call-up and play center for you, and he can play in both bottom six center spots because he's showed that at least he could do it this season, like, I think that's fine. I think that's a fine piece to have in your organization. He's going to be down in the AHL starting next season. He's going to be a guy who's going to be putting up a lot of points, being a good leader for that group. The guys all love him. They love the way that he works down there. In practice, I remember seeing a lot of him last year. A lot of people liked him in practice. He's a guy who can help this team, like, as an organization down the road. And Jesse says as an extra forward. So yeah, maybe he's like the 13th forward. He can kill penalties for you. He's showed that at the NHL. He can play on the power play if he needs to. But yeah, I don't think he's going to be a guy that you want in your top 12 on opening night. But I don't have no problem having him be 13, 14, 15 on your list for forwards. And the fact that he can play center, I like that. I like that a lot. And you need that because, yeah, I don't want to come into next season and John Stevens has to be the guy, right? Love John Stevens, great dude, but you know, he's a fine AHLer, but at least Dries can be a fine NHLer in a pinch.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the conversation should end there. Like, I don't think we need to spend more time talking about Sheldon Dries, but I love the idea for the series and the graphic that you made. The graphic is very, very nice. I wanted to get that in there.
One more time up there, Alex. Let's see the graphic from the top, and then we'll get to the other. I tell you what, the spot, like, he's stuck on the eagle again. There, back over there. Alex wants 20 likes. He says on the YouTube channel. Throw a like on this video. You'll get the eagle cam back up here, or or don't. If you don't want the eagle cam, don't like the video. But like the video if you want the eagle cam to come back. There's our graphic there. Let's get this other graphic just quickly up of Sheldon Dries and his line mates. Because, yeah, we've had the conversation about him, being in a third line role. Let's just see a couple of things to note here. His most consistent line mate this season, Connor Garland. Is that coming as a surprise at all for you, Quads?
Not really. I've watched the games.
You have watched the games. So with Connor Garland, his most consistent line mate, a 53% control of the Corsi. Good. A 54.5% control of the goals scored. That's good. He's been on the ice for 12 goals scored and only 10 against. That's good. He's played well with Connor Garland. Two of the smaller guys on the team finding some chemistry together. That's a lot of fun. Even the scoring chances, 55%. Like, I do think that Sheldon Dries, there have been games this year where you have to get excited, right? Like, I think Sheldon Dries has had a couple of really good games this season where he's creating a ton of scoring chances. He's involved in a lot of the offense. And in my eyes, if you're getting that, say you can find a spot where Dries is only playing 8 to 15 games for you next season, like that type of thing. Well, he's in the AHL ripping it up. When he comes in and he has 1 or 2 good games in those 8 to 15 NHL games, I like that. This is a guy making league minimum. So I'm completely fine with those guys, if that's the role that he's in next year. But yeah, I don't want to see this be the 3C anchor on your team moving forward. I don't think Dries is at that level just yet.
No, and I don't think anybody's taking that away. Maybe some people are still just a little too scarred from the last management regime where they're like, Sheldon Dries just put up 11 goals. The Canucks are about to extend him on a one-way deal for $3 million, and he's going to be their third line center. That's what I think people are starting to think is going to happen. But I don't think that's going to happen, folks. I think you're okay. I think we're okay here.
Yeah, let's look at some of the struggles as well. So Niels Höglander, by the way, who was here earlier in the season, you kind of forget that. One of the more consistent guys that he played with, 54 minutes with Niels Höglander, pretty rough numbers for Corsi, goals against, all those type of things, tough numbers there. Dries also had some success with Kuzmenko, and then his third and fourth most consistent line mates, you brought him up earlier, Vasily Podkolzin and Vitaly Kravtsov, both not showing very great when it comes to control of scoring chances and Corsi in there. So you brought it up, like it's not working on that line, but things have worked with Connor Garland, his most consistent line mate. That's been a fine third line when they're playing together. Whoever's the other guy playing on that line, mix it up. It could be Podkolzin. It's been Joshua at times, Niels Höglander earlier in the year. Like, we'll see. Do you remember that early in the season when it was Garland, Höglander, and Dries? It was just like it was the shortest line, shortest line in hockey, man. Like it was, if anything, give us something fun. At least that was fun. So, yeah, I think that's enough of a topic. This is something that we're going to do, I think, as the season kind of closes out here, especially when there's not a lot of topiks. We'll dive into a spotlight thing and just kind of chat about the season that was and the future. So the future for me with Dries is like, hey, be nice to have him as a depth forward. And he's signed for next season. All good. If he's down in Abbotsford, he's been a hell of a scorer in Abbotsford. I've enjoyed his play down there when he is there. So for him, good for him. He became an NHLer full-time this season. Perfect. Good. So we'll see what he does next year. I think you can build off of what he's done this season. I don't think this season is something you look at and are disappointed for him. Maybe you're a little disappointed for him being in the role, I guess, of having to be a 3C. And breaking news, Quads. You just get that notification as well?
No. What?
All right. Breaking news from the Vancouver Canucks. What do we? Oh, we have a news button. I never use it. Breaking news from the Vancouver Canucks. The Canucks Young Stars Classic is returning to Penticton in September 2023 and 24. So 2 more years of the Young Stars out in Penticton. That is awesome. The Canucks, the Flames, the Oilers, and the Jets have all confirmed to compete in a round-robin tournament for the next 2 years. I had a blast out there at the Young Stars tournament. So this is good news. This is great news. I love this tournament. It's a lot of fun. This was good for the AHL team and a lot of their staff to kind of get things together before the season started. So yeah, good. 2 more years of the Young Stars, and they're doing it in Penticton. I tell you, I don't get. I think I've said this on the show before. So I grew up in Nanaimo, right, watching Nanaimo Clippers at the old Frank Crane. That's a good arena down there in Nanaimo. Everybody in the chat knows what I'm talking about. Frank Crane, beautiful, good hot dogs there, cheap hot dogs, and churros. But this Penticton, freaking, I can't believe a BCHL team plays in that arena. It's gorgeous. It is gorgeous. But yeah, this is awesome. 2 more years of Young Stars. I'm stoked.
Yeah, it's great. I didn't actually know that it was not already returning for next year. Yeah, that's unsurprising news. I guess it's more surprising that I didn't realize that it was not already announced. I thought it was just going to be an annual thing and everybody knew that. But anyways, breaking news.
Good. No, yeah, they didn't initially. They just kind of talked to some people there when I was there this past summer. They weren't. There was nothing set in stone, but it felt like everything was trending in the right direction towards having this. And this is a tournament not only just to have the tournament come back, but to get the buy-in from the Jets, the Flames, and the Oilers. Like, they put on a really good show last year out there in Penticton. So I'm excited to go back this summer. And you get a chance to watch some of these young guys. It's great. It's a great tournament. It's a great showing. Canucks fans all throughout the city. The bars are packed because Penticton doesn't have as many bars. So you get a lot of people who are just there for the tournament in the pubs and bars. We had some good times while I was there. And I took Harmon to Quiznos for the first time because I don't get you young kids. I don't know what you guys are doing. You're living under a rock eating craft dinner all day long. How have you not been to a Quiznos? So Harm had his first Quiznos with me, and he very much enjoyed it.
I've never been to Quiznos either.
It doesn't even surprise me. It doesn't even surprise me that you haven't been to a freaking Quiznos. You just went to Popeyes for the first time the other day, didn't you?
Yeah, about a couple months ago, and I've gone many times since then.
Oh, we got 20 likes here, so Alex, you can get it back up there. People have loved the. Alex has been pumping this in the chat. He wants more Eagle content. Whoa, my goodness, he's right up in there. Okay, you got to get on the YouTube. Oh, there he goes. Look at that. What perfect timing was that? All right, Alex, get out of here. Our friends over there at Big Bear. Alex has got 4 different screens going, 4 different eagle nests. He's got it locked down there in the Alex cave, producer Alex cave over there. All right, let's get into
this on the rails.
Yeah, we are on the rails today. We got just a few minutes left in the show. We've been running good here. Short little segment. Alex doesn't like this when I do this on the ticker, but I let him play his bird videos. So the least he can do is this. AHL update, really short one. Abbotsford's in Manitoba for 2 games. They play tonight at 5, Saturday at 2. Linus Karlsson leading the team now, 20 goals. He's got a -7 on the day. I wanted to note that. Archie Baines really starting to pick things up. 11 goals and 24 assists now, up to 35 points in his rookie season. And I brought it up on the show. Was it yesterday I said this? Look at this. Danila Klimovich tied with Christian Wolanin for the best plus-minus on the Abbotsford Canucks. That's something. Okay? I know plus-minus, it's broken. But Danila Klimovich leading the way. Really making a lot of improvements in his own zone.
Absolutely. It's good to see. I want to have Colton back on. He's so fun to talk to.
Right there. Yeah, we'll get him back. There's another center we forgot. Hey, if you need a center, probably Justin Dowling, actually, on emergency basis right now. Probably getting that call. He's been a center.
I haven't seen him in a while.
Hey, man, if you don't follow the AHL team, that's not a name you've heard in a long time. Justin Dowling, really good dude. I know they love him out there. I always see his family, his little kids are running around with the little Dowling jerseys. They're always just they're in the same kind of area around us with the press box. So I hear nothing but good things about Justin Dowling. Nice little player to have in that spot. And he does bring a lot for that team. He's top 6 center, playing a lot for them. So he might be the option. But they play tonight at 5. I'll have a bunch of clips out on Twitter tonight. And if there's anything very fun, which I'm kind of expecting, this is weird, with Jet Wu, it's like a nightly thing now where he's just throwing a massive hit. So maybe we'll be back on tomorrow's show, me and Harm, or Harm and me, Harmony. We'll have that tomorrow if there is a big Jet Wu hit, which has been a nightly thing. So 5 o'clock tonight, excited for that, and Saturday at 2 p.m. So it's going to be that basically that day you were talking about, hockey all day. Quads, that's just me every Saturday watching AHL and NHL and SHL and Liga and NCAA. So I don't know what you're like, oh, it's a remarkable new idea of mine. And I do that every Saturday. Throughout the whole season, I watch hockey from 8 in the morning until 11 at night. So I don't know. That's
no wonder you were like. No wonder you were like, I don't like that idea at all.
No, I'd say because I live it. All right, let's get to odds and ends. Vancouver Canucks. I think just after we finished our show yesterday, they announced Pride Night on Friday. Let's get this jersey up here. This thing is beautiful. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. It's gorgeous. The retail, you can see it there. They're going to wear these for the warm-ups. So awesome stuff here. Let's check out some of the highlights. What do they have going on? Party on the Plaza, beer gardens, drag show performers, musical performance from Queer as Funk. You got to be careful saying that one. Nice play on the words there. And a Pride photo op as well. Did want to shout out here. You can see in the bottom right. Wanted to shout out our friends over at the Cutting Edges hockey team. Listeners of this show, I've heard from some of them in the past. Really cool what they do in the community there. They have a team down. They play at Scotia Barn. That's what they call it, right? 8 rinks. Yeah. I see them playing all the time. Follow them on Instagram. Great folks that are kind of, helping celebrate hockey in the 2SLGBTQIA plus community. Shout out to the folks at Cutting Edges hockey team. Love what you guys are up to, and thank you for the support and listening to the show. I know that there's a handful of listeners from the team there that listen to the show. So I do want to play the Quinn Hughes audio about this as well. So Quinn Hughes talked about this yesterday. We were doing the show while the Canucks were practicing, so we missed out on the audio, but we picked it up. Let's hear from Quinn Hughes talking about Pride Night and if there was any discussion about if this night was actually going to happen for the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, I think that everyone in this room is looking forward to it, and I know in our organization everyone's welcomed, and every time we've done the Pride Night, I've worn the jersey and celebrated the night. So obviously you guys know that it's Friday apparently, but so we're looking forward to it, and should be a great night, should be a good game.
Has there been any talk about whether or not to wear the jersey this season?
No, I don't think so. I think that we've worn it every year, at least since I've been here. Even the year it was the Canadian division and there are no fans here, but I think every year we've worn it since I've been here, and like I said, I think it's a great night, and I'm glad we're doing it, and I don't think there was ever any discussion for doing it or not doing it, and it should be a good night.
Yeah, it was just everybody in the market worried that there wasn't going to be that the announcement didn't come till, I guess, what was it, just over like 48 hours before. So good for the Canucks coming through here. I mean, this is a Vancouver market area, you know, general group of people who very much are in support of inclusion and everything that Pride Night stands for. So I'm very happy that the Vancouver Canucks are getting involved with this and doing this night, and hopefully doing it right. From a lot of the way that the night's been presented by them on socials, looks like it's going to be a good night. And final thoughts there. Put that C on Quinn Hughes' jersey, baby. I'm telling you.
Well,
he's going to get the
yeah,
C.
and the only thing I really want to say on this is it's just in a season where there's been so many distractions, like where the Pride Nights have become such a distraction from what the Pride Nights are actually supposed to represent, with, you know, all the players sitting out and all that sort of stuff. It's nice to see the Canucks kind of come out here, get ahead of it, and, you know, what Quinn Hughes, a leader on that team, has said, and also with what the Canucks are actually doing on the night itself. It's, you know, beyond just a jersey that they're wearing, which is nice to see. So yeah, that's all I have to say on that. And yes, put the C on Quinn Hughes' chest. You like to see stuff like that. That's one thing that doesn't get talked about a lot, but like Bo Horvat kind of was way ahead of stuff like that, and nobody really expected him to. And I think the first one that people really noticed was when the whole Don Cherry "you people" comment happened, when Horvat just came out and, like, I don't think he was prepped on it. I don't think he knew the question was coming, but his instant reaction was just like, yeah, you don't want to see that. It's not really welcome in our game, type of thing. And you don't want to see stuff like that. And you saw that from the captain of the Canucks. Like, that matters. Like, that matters for the captain of the Canucks to come out and have a stance like that, right? So, yeah, we're happy to see that they're doing it. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, love to see it from Quinn Hughes with a C on his chest. All right, that one fell flat. Anyways, final thing that I wanted to get to from the odds and ends. I tweeted about both of them. Jake Livingstone and Sam Malinsky, the top two right shot guys coming out of the NCAA, did not sign with the Vancouver Canucks. Unfortunately, as much as the Canucks need help on right D, Livingstone ends up going to Nashville. Malinsky ends up going to Colorado, as well as Jason Polin from Western Michigan, line mate of Max Sasson. Polin is off to the Avalanche as well. So the Avs, with their weak prospect pool, were able to entice some of these NCAA guys and picked up a couple of pretty good ones. They got Malinsky and Polin. Polin was a Hobey Baker top 10 finalist. Malinsky, arguably one of the best defensemen, maybe the best right shot defenseman, him and Livingstone. So yeah, Canucks end up striking out on these two big right D in the NCAA free agent market.
Yeah, and like I have some stuff on this actually. I actually talked to some people the way you usually do. So I talked to some people kind of close to the situation, just with NCAA free agency, and also knowing kind of what happened between these free agents and the Canucks. So basically what happens, we've discussed the process before. An agent will sit down with their client and basically look at every team's depth chart and say, okay, this is your path to the NHL. And for a lot of these guys, they're not advisor, excuse me. They're not really looking for the top of the depth chart, because I know we kind of brought up like, oh, well, the Canucks just signed Philip Hronek, so that's going to affect their ability to get Livingstone. It's not so much that. It actually, and like, I have this, like, we know for a fact that it was more so the depth that the Canucks have with names like Philip Johansson, players like Noah Juleson, where a potential free agent would look at it and say, okay, well, that's kind of harder for me to climb the depth chart. Like, there's more names on that depth chart for me to climb. And it's kind of why we see teams like the Lightning, like just contenders, right? Contending teams, why they land these free agents. Like, we saw Colorado do it last year as well, and now they've done it again this year. It's not because those guys think they can crack the top of their lineup. It's because they see a real opportunity to get an NHL contract playing in a depth role, right? And, you know, with a team like the Canucks, sometimes with the prospects and all that sort of stuff, and I know the Canucks don't have a ton of prospects, but Philip Johansson's one name there, where a right shot defenseman would look at it and say, okay, maybe this is a little bit tough for me to crack this team and crack their depth chart.
Yeah, I think from what I heard anyways was a little different. Like, the Philip Hronek trade was something that these advisors noticed, specifically Malinsky and Livingstone's advisors. The Canucks were interested in these two. Like, that I know for sure. Both of these players, they have seen both of them play live. Obviously, they saw Hirose. They end up picking him up, which is good. The Canucks were in on both these guys the last time I talked to some of their advisors, and I do think that the Filip Hronek trade made a little bit of a difference. I don't think it broke the chance of them signing him, but it did make an effect when you see a team go out and add a for sure NHLer on your right side. Like, that's what Livingstone and Malinsky are hoping for. They're looking at the Predators prospect pool, and they're looking at the NHL level, the AHL. They're looking at all that. That's what the advisors are doing. And they thought that, I guess, that was a better landing spot for them to kind of develop. And I know Malinsky, for him, it was just getting with a team that's that competitive like the Avalanche and looking at the prospect pool and thinking, okay, I can be a guy who can help this team's depth at the NHL level right now. That's why I think he's gone to Colorado anyways. And that option, also Malinsky, we talked about this in the past. He doesn't have to sign an ELC. He signs a standard player contract. Did you see his minors numbers? You're laughing at that. If you're seeing the rest of the guys signing ELCs, Malinsky's laughing at them. He's making more than double them in the AHL with his SPC contract, landing him a good little chunk of change being a minor league player if that's where he ends up anyways.
Yeah, and back to the whole Livingstone thing, like, I think it's kind of a bit of both, where Hronek's acquisition pushes those guys that I mentioned by name, Johansson and Juleson, pushes those guys down the depth chart, right? Like, those guys, Juleson's not playing in a first pairing role anymore, right? And now those guys, it basically just adds to the depth chart and makes it harder for a guy like Livingstone to climb up the depth chart. So it's just something to keep in mind that was brought up to me.
All right. Well, I did want to bring up too, we didn't get to this the other day. So the Canucks, they lose in overtime to the St. Louis Blues. Was a very good loss for them, by the way. They got jumped by Detroit and St. Louis. So Alex, as we close out here, fire that damn tank up, baby, because the Canucks, the team tank, everything going on with it, it's back on, boys. The tank is back on track. Let's do one quick lottery simulation here. See what happens. I like to press reset a couple times just to set the mood. And let's go. From 8th spot, the Canucks end up sticking there at 8. We'll just run it once. That's it. That's all we're going to do. All right, the tank's back. I'm done. Baseball's on. And Abbotsford's in action tonight, so Harmon will be in here tomorrow. An exciting show, of course, as per usual. And no Eagle, Alex? Oh, look at that. I can go. Excellent job of the green screen. Oh, my goodness. Wait, this way. All right, Quads, take us home. I'm hanging out with my boy over here, this bald eagle. My boy.
All right, we'll close it out there. We've gone off the rails today. Good show though, buddy. And I'll see you and the listeners on Monday. I hope everybody has a great opening day. Happy opening day to everybody who celebrates the Eagle is just right beside your face. There'll be clips of this on Twitter for those on the podcast. There'll be clips on Twitter. Don't you worry. Okay. Okay, for my co-host Chris Faber and our technical producer Alex Lard and our friend Eddie the Eagle, my name's David Quadrelli. My name's Dave Quadrelli. Thank you so much for listening to the episode of
Mom and
Canucks Conversation.
Holy cow, look at them! 2 of them! Holy jumping, man.
Thanks for listening to Canucks Conversation. Hit the subscribe button to never miss an episode.
How about keep it to a thank you, Jim?